Veronica Ronnie Johnson adjusted her blazer with one hand and sipped her iced coffee with the other as her diplomatic shuttle descended toward the landing pad. The wind gusted, catching the hem of her coat and flaring it dramatically. She let it happen. Never underestimate the power of an entrance. They always roll out the red carpet, she muttered, eyes narrowing as a procession of 12-legged honor guards snapped into formation, their heads bowed in respect, or perhaps confusion. The aliens' exoskeletal armor glittered under the twin suns, every soldier rigidly upright and expressionless. She half expected them to break out into an interpretive dance about intergalactic obedience. The ramp hissed open. Ronnie clicked down the steps in heels that had been designed for both style and silent footstabbing. She smiled pleasantly at the nearest alien delegate, a violet-skinned minister with 9 eyes, and what looked like a wig made of tentacles. "I come in peace," she said, pausing for effect, "but I'm wearing heels, so please don't make me chase anyone." The translator device on her collar chirped and spat out a garbled version in Galactrinian. The alien blinked all 9 eyes, then performed a deep bow that nearly touched its forehead, located on its knee to the ground. Ambassador Veronica Johnson, Earth's most successful and least patient negotiator. She'd ended 9 wars, brokered 3 major trade treaties, and once convinced a warlord with laser tusks to cry and apologize on galactic television. She'd done it all with caffeine in her system and a sharp tongue on her lips. But today tested even her tolerance. They had summoned her to address an escalating security breach and planetary insult. In Earthspeak, a meme war. The Empire was furious over a viral video featuring Emperor Zaxxon photoshopped with a mullet, rollerblades, and holding a red solo cup. The caption had read, "Friday night Zaxxy lookin' spicy." Ronnie was mortified, not at the Empire's anger, but that the meme had been lame. If they were going to threaten annihilation, it should at least be over clever satire. Inside the Great Hall of Galactic Sovereignty, because subtlety was a foreign concept here, the decor screamed, "We overcompensate because our egos are sensitive." The walls were etched with gold, the ceiling arched into an artificial nebula, and the thrones, yes, plural, were the size of school buses. Ronnie paused in the doorway and raised an eyebrow. "Nice place. Love what you've done with the space." "Very, I peaked in high school." The translator dutifully repeated her sarcasm. A few alien aides stiffened. One hiccuped. From atop the central dais, Emperor Zaxxon stood, 8 feet of glittering scales, a head shaped like a beetroot, and 2 large orbs of flesh that might have been eyes or decorative tumors. His ceremonial armor gleamed, but what drew Ronnie's attention was the ridiculous hat, a triangular mass of velvet with gold tassels that trembled as he stared her down. "You dare mock the imperial thrones," he bellowed in booming Galactrinian. "Your primitive species continues to disgrace galactic order with unauthorized image manipulation." Ronnie took her seat at the negotiating table with the unhurried grace of a woman who knew she could end planets with a phone call. She crossed her legs, placed her coffee beside her, and rested her chin in one hand. "We're sorry someone made you look like you were enjoying yourself," she said dryly. "Next time we'll make you look as constipated as you do in real life." The Emperor's orbs jiggled in rage. "You mock sacred visage, punishable by orbital vaporization." "And yet," she said, swirling her coffee, "here I am unsinged. Look, I didn't come here to banter with someone whose crown looks like a novelty piñata. I came to keep Earth's moon from being turned into interstellar confetti." He leaned forward, then begged, as is tradition. That was the moment the room shifted. The aides leaned in. The guards subtly unsnapped their holsters. It was not a request. It was a demand. And not just of Earth. Of her. Ronnie rose slowly. "You want Earth's top diplomat to kneel?" she asked, her voice low and sharp. The Emperor sneered. "Indeed. Humility tempers barbarism." She took 2 steps forward. Click, click. The sound of heels on alien marble echoed in the hall like a countdown. She stared up at him, a full 2 feet shorter, sipping her coffee as she narrowed her eyes. "You've misunderstood Earth and me for a long time. Let me clarify something," she said. "I am not here as a servant. I am not here as a representative of the weaker sex, as you so hilariously put it in last month's diplomatic memo. I am Earth's first and last warning. I am the line between conversation and chaos. Her voice rose slightly, steady and cold. I've negotiated with genocidal AI, carnivorous moons, and once a planet that thought it was a god. Do you think you frighten me? Do you think this little display of fragile masculinity and oversized furniture intimidates a woman who's had to explain to 7 different alien species why Earth invented reality TV? There was a pause. Then came the slow, deliberate hum of an emergency signal. Security bots stepped forward. Ambassador Johnson, one intoned. By order of the Galactic Empire, you are being detained for contempt. Her smile was almost pitying. You know, I told my assistant this would happen, she said, taking another sip of coffee. And she said, and I quote, Ronnie, don't let them make you snap. You've got diplomacy in your blood. She looked around the room, then down at her cup. Guess what, she said. I just ran out of diplomacy. With a twist of her wrist, she dropped the cup. It shattered on the polished floor. Liquid splattered near the Emperor's boot-like appendages. The lights flickered. Far above the palace, an Earth vessel, one not listed on diplomatic registries, decloaked. Inside it, sensors locked onto the building. Not for attack, but for broadcast. Ronnie adjusted her collar and turned toward the nearest holo projector. To Earth, she said. Transmission live. The blue glow flared. Her face, fierce and unflinching, appeared on screens across the Sol system. People of Earth, I am officially resigning as galactic diplomat. Effective immediately. I have been asked to kneel, to grovel, to beg on behalf of our entire species for a joke that barely deserved a retweet. She paused. The quiet was thunderous. I have spent 10 years smiling politely while aliens threatened us, dismissed us, and called us primitive. I have smiled through slights, dodged death threats, and endured enough bureaucratic nonsense to fuel a sitcom. She leaned in. But now they've insulted our women. Not just me, all of us. They called us hysterical, weak, emotional. And for that, I am done. Back in the hall, the aliens murmured. Some looked nervous. One fainted. The Emperor's lip analog quivered. Consider this my warning, she continued. You don't want to see what happens when Earth's women stop being diplomatic. We've carried the burden of civility long enough. You threaten our homes? You threaten our dignity? Oh, honey, you're not ready. She ended the transmission. Then she turned, stepped down from the dais, and walked past the frozen guards. The hall remained still as death. The Emperor began to raise his hand. One of his aides hesitated. Shall we retaliate? The Emperor opened his mouth, then stopped. On the projector behind them, Earth's response was already forming. Thousands of messages beamed across the galaxy, began appearing. We got your back, Ronnie. PDA moms just armed their minivans. Starbucks is canceling galaxy-wide deliveries in protest. Brace yourself. The girls are taking off their earrings. Ronnie didn't look back. She didn't have to. She had already lit the match. By the time she reached her ship, her comms were flooded. Ronnie, her assistant said. Earth has responded. She smiled. What did I tell you? They poked the bear. You mean the bear in heels? No, Ronnie said, strapping in. The bear who just put on lip gloss and decided diplomacy is overrated. The engines roared to life. And above the Empire's capital, a new shadow loomed. Earth's unofficial warship, once a retired diplomatic carrier, now painted hot pink with a glittery skull on the side, sent its message loud and clear. She's not mad. She's disappointed. And she brought backup. Ronnie stared out the viewport, expression unreadable. This isn't war, she whispered to herself. This is what happens when you forget one simple truth. She smirked. Hell hath no fury like a woman cancelled mid-coffee. And with that, she blasted off, leaving stunned silence, spilled coffee, and the ticking clock of galactic consequences in her wake. Earth didn't waste time. The moment Ambassador Veronica Johnson's resignation hit the networks, humanity's social media ignited like gasoline to a match. Within 23 minutes, Hashtag Ronnie Rage trended on every platform from Terranet to Oldbook, and by the end of the hour, someone had already released a remix of her speech, auto-tuned over a beat that would have made Dr. Dre nod in grudging approval. But it wasn't the memes or the parody videos or the poorly edited Ronnie with laser eyes fan art that worried the Galactic Empire. It was the silence that followed, the kind of silence that precedes a storm, except this storm wore mascara, ran on caffeine, and had endured centuries of being talked over in meetings. In the quiet suburbs of Detroit, Karen Graves was halfway through yelling at a blender when her wristcom buzzed. The smoothie erupted across the ceiling, and she barely blinked. Karen had the aura of a woman who once shot down a fighter jet while breastfeeding. Former lieutenant colonel, master tactician, and one-time suburban PDA president. She now ran a consulting firm that specialized in tactical audits and emotionally devastating group emails. She looked down at the transmission and didn't need to read past the header. Ronnie's done. Karen's lips twitched into a grim smile. She walked to the coat closet, shoved aside the yoga mat, and opened a secret compartment with a biometric scan. Inside was a tactical vest, a data tablet, and her old sidearm, still lovingly maintained. She didn't speak. She didn't need to. 10 minutes later, she was en route to Houston. On a cattle ranch outside Tucson, 92-year-old Meemaw Jenkins watched the broadcast in her rocking chair while peeling apples with a blade that might once have been part of an alien vibra knife. Her cat purred on her lap. When the broadcast ended, she set the apple down and reached under the porch. With a grunt, she retrieved a dusty crate marked for when the galaxy forgets itself. She opened it. Inside were twin plasma pistols, hand-stitched ammo bandoliers, and a pair of reinforced orthopedic boots. "Well," she said to the cat, "looks like I gotta stretch the OL trigger finger." In San Diego, Dr. Anika Patel adjusted her glasses as her lab assistant ran into the room, breathless and panicked. "Dr. Patel, did you see?" "I did," she said. "Prepare the neural interference grid." "You mean the one banned by the Geneva?" "Yes," she said, tying her hair back. "That one. The Empire just insulted human intellect and emotional regulation in one sentence. I've had Tinder dates with more respect." In Tokyo, Stacy Boomer Tran, a 24-year-old with a black belt in Taekwondo, a master's in chaos theory, and 5 million subscribers on her weaponized meme channel, paused mid-livestream. She played back Ronnie's speech. Once, twice, 3 times. She leaned back in her chair, cracked her knuckles, and sent out one single message. "I'm in. Starting Operation Glitterhammer." By the end of the day, they were assembled in Houston, in an undisclosed location beneath a Whole Foods that doubled as Earth's fallback war room. Ronnie sat at the head of the table, looking more tired than angry, but that fire hadn't dimmed one bit. Karen leaned forward first, tapping her stylus against the glass surface. "I take it this isn't about a bad meme anymore." "It's about respect," Ronnie said. "We've been talking to the Empire for decades. We've been patient, we've been polite, we've let them interrupt us in every meeting, and we've swallowed every insult like we were on some kind of intergalactic diet plan for ego control." Meemaw nodded, sipping sweet tea from a thermos labeled, "This ain't your granny's tea." "They've mistaken our courtesy for weakness," Anika added. "Classic error." Ronnie pulled up a galaxy-wide broadcast log. "They called us hysterical, emotional, unstable. Their ministers are laughing. They've coined a term for human women, caffeinated barbarians." Boomer snorted. "Okay, that's kind of badass. But it's not just Earth anymore," Ronnie said, pointing to red-marked star systems. "They've begun sanctioning our trade partners. Anyone sympathetic to Earth's position is now blacklisted. The Empire wants to isolate us. And they want us to grovel," Karen said, her voice sharp. "What's the plan?" Ronnie stood and pressed a button. A hologram of Earth's orbital fleet flickered into view. Then, behind it, a second image, sleek, unregistered craft, cloaked and recommissioned. "This isn't diplomacy anymore," Ronnie said. "This is PDA, Planetary Tactical Alliance." Karen smirked. "I always knew the PDA would go galactic." "We operate under the radar," Ronnie continued. "No large-scale assaults. Psychological warfare. Surgical strikes. target their bureaucracy, unravel their propaganda. We use our strength. Passive aggression? Anika said. And snacks, Mima added. And fashion, Boomer chimed in. We go in looking like glitter-dipped hellfire. Ronnie grinned. Exactly. The room buzzed as mission parameters were defined. They would deploy in teams. Karen would coordinate ground-level interference, sabotaging supply lines with strategic accidents and shrewd, untraceable complaints. Anika would hack their comms and weaponize their media feeds. Mima was given a target list of key locations to visit with her high-powered knitting bag. Boomer would flood the networks with viral disinformation and psychological memes. Make them question reality, Ronnie instructed. Use satire. Confuse their leadership. Humiliate their influencers. Weaponize their own egos. We're going to gaslight the entire empire, Boomer said, awed. We're going to do more than that, Ronnie said. We're going to do what we do best. Remind them what happens when you push women too far. Their first mission was a soft entry, targeting the Empire's flagship PR satellite, known for broadcasting galactic propaganda, including the recent smear campaign against Ronnie. Anika's neural virus slipped in quietly, bypassing firewalls and surveillance drones. In under 6 minutes, the satellite was hacked. It began transmitting reruns of Golden Girls, followed by a 3-hour marathon of Earth's daytime courtroom shows. The Empire's ministers were baffled. On the ground, Karen deployed her agents, veteran PDA moms and retired spies who now posed as harmless tourists. They infiltrated Empire outposts, started friendly neighborhood groups, baked cookies with military-grade laxatives, and left strongly worded complaint letters in every office they passed. Mima led a silent assault on a black site prison, liberating several Earth diplomats while leaving behind notes that read, "Bless your heart," and booby-trapped embroidery. Boomer launched a campaign titled, "The Empire is Just Insecure," that overtook galactic social media in 24 hours. Alien influencers accidentally reposted it, thinking it was fashion satire. Empire youth began wearing caffeinated barbarian shirts ironically. Street art of Ronnie wielding a plasma whip started appearing across major planets. One said simply, "She warned you." The Emperor's Council grew increasingly distressed. They couldn't retaliate. None of the attacks were technically violations. There were no armies, no explosions, no overt hostilities. Just their image unraveling. In one intercepted transmission, an Empire senator begged for help. "They're making us feel like we're the drama." Inside the war room, Ronnie watched it all unfold. Her hands clasped behind her back, eyes scanning reports. She moved with practiced calm, like a school principal preparing for a very stern PDA meeting with a planetary dictator. Karen approached with a datapad. "We've got clearance for Phase 2, but it's going to get messy." "I expect nothing less," Ronnie said. Karen hesitated. "You sure we're doing the right thing? There's no going back." Ronnie turned to her. "For centuries, women have been told to lower their voices, to be nice, to keep the peace at any cost. We've bent until our backs broke. Now the galaxy knows we can bend. But when we break, we burn things down." Karen gave a slow nod. "Then let's light it up." Phase 2 was public. They issued a single galactic broadcast, a short clip, barely 10 seconds long. It featured Ronnie walking toward the camera in slow motion, surrounded by her team, sunglasses on, the Earth flag fluttering behind them. No weapons. No threats. Just a message, spoken clearly. "We're not angry. Just disappointed." It shattered the Empire's morale. Alien diplomats, who had previously mocked Earth, now called for emergency peace talks. Empire morale units reported increased anxiety. Their strongest soldiers began applying for transfer to border patrols near planets inhabited only by sentient plants. But not everyone was ready to fold. One of the Emperor's top generals, a crustacean-like brute named Scorth the Unyielding, refused to back down. He appeared on galactic broadcast, clutching a scepter and snarling, "We will not be shamed into submission by lipstick-wearing mammals." Ronnie watched the footage from her ship. She tapped a button. "Get me Boomer." Within 2 hours, Scortha's face was plastered on 1,000 memes. One compared him to a moody ex-boyfriend. Another photoshopped him into a prom dress. By morning, the general had deactivated all his accounts and released a statement declaring extended spiritual leave. Back on Earth, civilian women joined in. Sororities hosted fundraisers for the Ronnie rebuttal offensive. Book clubs started tactical planning sessions. Moms in minivans patrolled neighborhood watch stations, wearing body armor and sipping chai lattes. No one officially declared war, but the Empire knew. They had declared war the moment they laughed at Ronnie, the moment they mistook Earth's silence for surrender, the moment they thought diplomacy came without teeth. In the war room, the team gathered for one final update. We've destabilized their image, disrupted communications, rerouted their food logistics, Anika said. They've started blaming each other. Internal factions are forming. They're folding like lawn chairs in a windstorm, Boomer added. Time to make it official, Karen said. Ronnie nodded and stepped up to the console. She activated the transmission. This time, no theatrics. Just her. To the Galactic Empire. This is Veronica Johnson, no longer Earth's ambassador, but its voice. You wanted us to kneel. You wanted us silent. You wanted us shamed. She paused, then smiled faintly. Instead, you got Earth's women with nothing left to lose. And baby, we just got started. Transmission ended. Across the stars, there was a ripple. A shift. The unmistakable sound of an empire realizing they'd underestimated their opponents. Again. Ronnie sat back in her chair, exhaled, and accepted a fresh, iced coffee from an aide. Karen raised a brow. Think they'll cave? No, Ronnie said. But they'll break. Behind her, the hologram flickered. Earth's emblem wrapped in a banner. We don't do surrender. We do receipts. The war had begun. But it didn't look like war. It looked like a coordinated wave of glitter, sarcasm, and resolve. And it was terrifying. Especially to those who never thought they'd be outmatched by women with credit cards and resting bitch faces. The moon of Velix 9, once a hub of imperial logistics, now looked like a rave threw up on it. The docking bays sparkled, literally sparkled, with industrial-grade glitter that adhered to every surface like a virus of fabulous defiance. Holoscreens across the base now played looping clips of Earth women in combat heels lip-syncing Destiny's Child lyrics. And hovering above it all, spinning slowly on an endless axis, was a massive pink banner that read, "We told you not to test us." At the edge of the landing pad, Meemaw Jenkins reloaded her twin plasma pistols with the same nonchalance she used to refill her teacup. She adjusted her tactical shawl, which doubled as a cloaking mesh, and winked at the camera drone Boomer had launched to record the op. "Granny still got it," she said, before marching into the smoke with a trail of sequins falling behind her. 2 weeks into the campaign, and the Galactic Empire's strategic nodes were crumbling, not from firepower, but from the kind of psychological warfare no tactical manual could have predicted. They had not been invaded by brute force. They had been infiltrated by Barbie pink warships, passive-aggressive posted bombs, and the relentless, weaponized charm of Earth's most underestimated demographic. Women who had simply had enough. Ronnie watched it all unfold from the bridge of the RBF Avenger, a heavily modified diplomatic cruiser now outfitted with stealth tech, jamming arrays, and a SAS-to-armament ratio that terrified their own engineers. Karen stood beside her, arms crossed. Meemaw just took out an entire supply hub using nail polish remover, a muffin tin, and a holographic cat video. "Classic," Ronnie said, not looking up. "How's the Empire reacting?" "Like they're at a baby shower they weren't invited to," Karen replied. "Half their command structure's in disarray. Our memes are trending on their internal networks." One of their generals was caught quoting Lizzo. Ronnie smirked. "We're getting into their heads." Correction, we're living rent-free in their heads, with scented candles and matching drapes. Their newest operations focused on sabotage through subversion, disrupting enemy morale, while turning their own propaganda against them. Boomer had released a holo magazine called Galactic Glam Combat Weekly, parodying Imperial war efforts. The first issue featured a double-page spread titled, "10 Signs You're Losing a War to Women with Better Eyeliner and Tactics." It was downloaded 2 million times in one day by alien teenagers. The Emperor's response had been to issue a galaxy-wide ban on emotional content, which only made it trend harder. In a secure ops room below deck, Anika finished uploading a new patch into the Empire's communications protocol. It was subtle. Every fifth word in their command messages would autocorrect to Earth slang. Strategic reports now contained lines like "deploy the fleet, no cap," and "enemy presence is SUS, low-key." Empire analysts spent days trying to decode it. Meanwhile, operations stalled. Orders became gibberish. Confusion reigned. Anika allowed herself a rare smile. They thought emotional intelligence was a weakness. Turns out, it's just better UX for war. Up in orbit around Zarathon Prime, Boomer directed her army of meme drones with the precision of a general and the energy of a late-night YouTube stream. She had created digital filters that morphed Imperial press conferences into dance videos synced to Earth's greatest hits. One particularly devastating edit featured the Emperor giving a speech, unwittingly choreographed to "Oops, I Did It Again." The Empire tried to shut it down. Too late. The filter went viral. Then came the trend. Hashtag Zaxxon Drop It Low. Ronnie and her team didn't just want to humiliate the Empire. They wanted to fracture it. By exposing the Empire's ridiculous obsession with order, power, and image, they lit a fire under the suppressed younger generations, aliens who'd grown up suffocated under rigid hierarchy. When they saw Earth women laugh in the face of authority, were pink into battle, and turned propaganda into stand-up comedy, something shifted. Minor revolts began popping up. On one outer rim planet, a group of alien teenagers painted their scales neon and formed a band called the Glitter Rebellion. They played Earth-inspired protest songs, including a cover of Girls Just Wanna Have Fundamental Rights. The Empire tried to suppress it. That only made it worse. "They've officially lost the narrative," Anika said during a briefing. "We're not just beating them. We're making them look ridiculous." "Pride is their armor," Ronnie replied. "And right now, we're kicking it in with rhinestone boots." Still, the Empire wasn't finished. Not yet. The Emperor, humiliated, enraged, and glitter-dusted from a recent infiltration of his throne room involving tactical confetti grenades, authorized Project Orderfall, a massive counteroffensive meant to erase all human influence from the galactic networks. They deployed signal scramblers, wiped communication satellites, and sent purge squads to planets suspected of aiding Earth. That's when the Barbies brought out the bazookas. In a high-orbit assault over Draxon 5, Ronnie's team deployed for their most daring mission yet, to take out an Empire Central Relay node, responsible for rerouting communications and jamming Earth's broadcasts. Karen led the ground assault, crashing their drop pod into the facility's upper spire. She emerged in full combat armor, wielding a modified shotgun and a look of pure judgment. Her team, a mixed unit of ex-military moms, gamer girls, and grannies with vendettas, stormed the corridors with terrifying precision. They didn't just disable the node. They remodeled it. By the time the Empire retook the facility, every wall was plastered with pastel motivational quotes. The mainframe was encoded with an audio virus that whispered, "You're doing great, sweetie," every 12 seconds, and the security turrets had been repainted with smiley faces. Boomer's signature glitter bombs were everywhere. Bioluminescent, impossible to scrub off, and oddly fragrant. Imperial officers began reporting allergic reactions, not to the glitter itself, but to the sheer idea of being covered in it. The final blow was a hollow sculpture erected in the center of the base. Ronnie Johnson in heels, hands on hips, standing atop a pile of outdated Imperial laws. They didn't just win the battle. They won the room. Back aboard the RBF Avenger, the crew debriefed. "We have 30 systems openly rejecting Imperial control," Anika said. "They're adopting Earth slang, Earth fashion, Earth playlists. We're changing the culture." Karen folded her arms. All because some crusty alien couldn't handle a woman with a voice. Ronnie stared at the star map. Dots were changing. Once solid Empire territories, now blinking with instability. "Time to send the message," she said. Boomer grinned. Live stream. Full holographic broadcast, Ronnie confirmed. Let them see us. Let them understand. That evening, across the galaxy, every Imperial channel went dark. Then lit up with the same image. 5 women standing together on the bridge of a ship painted hot pink and gunmetal gray. Behind them, a banner unfurled. We don't need permission to be powerful. Ronnie stepped forward. We told you we came in peace. We told you not to mistake diplomacy for weakness. But you didn't listen. So here we are. She gestured behind her, where Meemaw casually cleaned a glowing energy blade with a lace doily. You underestimated us. You mocked our empathy. You thought resting bitch face was a flaw, not a warning. She smiled slightly. And now, you're learning what happens when the girls stop playing nice. She ended the stream. Karen looked at her. You know this ends with them begging for a treaty. No, Ronnie said. This ends with them learning to listen. In a small lounge aboard the ship, Boomer uploaded the final meme packet. It wasn't flashy. No pop music, no dancing. Just a quiet image of the Empire's original threat to Earth, overlaid with Ronnie's original quote. You do not want to see what happens when Earth women stop being polite. Then, a final message. Oops. You saw. Outside, the stars shimmered as systems flickered with unrest and revolution. The Galactic Empire had been brought to its knees not by armies or bombs, but by glitter bombs, memes, and women with clipboards and combat boots. The campaign was working, but Ronnie knew it wasn't over. Not until the Emperor himself understood that the war he started wasn't just against Earth. It was against half the galaxy's population, against patience, empathy, and voices long dismissed. And Earth's women? They had all the receipts. Emperor Zaxxon stared blankly at the holographic map of his empire, now more patchwork than dominion. Red indicators blinked furiously across dozens of star systems, each one signifying disruption, rebellion, or cultural infiltration. What had once been the most feared galactic authority was now being held hostage by glitter, sass, and strategically deployed memes. He stood in the Hall of Judgment, flanked by trembling advisors who no longer spoke unless spoken to. His ornate war crown sat crooked on his head, weighed down by its own ridiculousness. The throne behind him loomed untouched, as if even it had grown weary of his dramatics. They've turned our soldiers into jokes, he growled. Our codes, our doctrines mocked. They dance in our command halls. They accessorize my statue. A junior aide winced. The statue in question had been spray-painted hot pink, given a feather boa, and now wore a sash reading, most likely to cry during a negotiation. The image had gone viral across 14 systems before Empire censors could intervene. They're not just destroying us, he hissed. They're embarrassing us. Your Excellency, a bolder minister offered cautiously, perhaps we should. The doors slammed open. Ronnie Johnson stepped into the Hall of Judgment as if it were a department store she was about to return something to, her heels clicking with the precise cadence of inevitability. Behind her walked Karen, Anika, Boomer, and Meemaw, each armed not with weapons, but with the kind of confidence that made people sweat. The guards didn't move. They didn't even reach for their weapons. After what they'd seen over the past weeks, they knew better. Zaxxon recoiled instinctively. You dare to enter unannounced. Ronnie stopped several paces from the dais. Zaxxon, sweetie, we've already entered your networks, your territory, your culture. This is just a courtesy call. Karen crossed her arms. We figured you deserved one last shot at saving face. Though frankly, we've redecorated most of it. Meemaw leaned on her cane, which buzzed faintly with kinetic energy. Didn't think it'd go this far, Emperor. But then again, you'd call us hysterical. That's just pokin'. The hornets nest with your face. Zaxxon's claws trembled. You have no idea what power I wield. Ronnie tilted her head. We do. You wield fear, control, the illusion of superiority. But your empire is paper-thin, held together by arrogance and bad communication skills. Anika tapped her device. A holographic stream filled the room, intercepted communications from Empire officers begging to defect, civilians cheering as Earth-inspired protests broke out, soldiers lowering their arms rather than enforcing unjust decrees. "You've already lost," she said. "Not because we fired missiles. Because we told the truth, loudly and beautifully." Zaxxon snarled and raised a hand to summon his elite guard. Boomer stepped forward. "Don't." He hesitated. She nodded toward the high-vaulted ceiling where dozens of drone cams hovered, silently streaming the entire confrontation to every corner of the galaxy. She smiled. "Right now you're live. Billions are watching. Some of them are wearing sequined jackets in your honor." Ronnie took a slow breath. "You wanted Earth to kneel. You wanted women to be silent. But every time we spoke, you dismissed us. Every time we warned you, you laughed. Every insult you hurled only made us louder, stronger. And now you don't get to rewrite the narrative. We already published it." Zaxxon's breath hitched. "What do you want?" Ronnie walked slowly toward the dais, step by deliberate step. "We want you to stand down. Not just militarily, culturally, systemically. You will end your censorship. You will sign the equality accords proposed by the Galactic Unity Council. You will acknowledge Earth as an equal, no, a superior, partner in diplomacy. And you will publicly apologize. To you, to everyone you dismissed. You called us hysterical. Now the galaxy knows who really lost control." Zaxxon dropped into his throne, looking suddenly small and ancient. The weight of public humiliation, political collapse, and his own monstrous ego cracked through his scaly veneer. He glanced around the room, seeking support from his ministers. None met his gaze. His voice broke. "Fine." Karen blinked. "Wait, that's it." He lifted trembling claws. "You win. The Empire concedes." There was a beat of silence. Then Mima laughed, deep and hearty. "Well, I'll be. That's the sound of history shifting right under our heels." Boomer fist pumped. "We did it. Barbies with bazookas for the win." Anika frowned. "No, not yet." All eyes turned to her. "We need him to say it. Not just to us. To everyone." Ronnie stepped up onto the dais, took a breath, and offered Zaxxon the broadcasting orb. "Time to make it official, Emperor." He stared at the orb like it was poison, then slowly wrapped his claws around it. The room darkened. A soft blue glow enveloped him. Across the galaxy, screens lit up. His image filled every household, every military base, every school. "I am Emperor Zaxxon of the Galactic Empire," he began, voice flat. "And I hereby acknowledge Earth as an equal power. I recognize the dignity and strength of its women. I retract all prior slanders. I submit to the Unity Accords